Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Do not let them tell you anything else except the whole it's a flat earth nation in the golden ages past. Very important. Me and my friends are never going to tell you anything else because we have your best interest at heart. Now, that's not the end, that's the way it's going to start. Today, I got to go show you this thing. You saw the title. That's why I'm gingerly stepping into this. Organic sedimentary rocks. Like they know what rocks are.
Look to it that looks like it's undergone chemical alteration from increased heat and pressure. All of the coal that we have on Earth today comes from the age of the dinosaurs, when the Earth was.
No, it's all about the rocks and being called and chosen, faithful. The pictures that I've considered important. It's always been flat earth. It's always been the swastika swastika trapped in your Mobius strip, analema, heart, flowing in emotion. That's always been what I'm trying to say is that the rocks are the body parts reserved in judgment. There's only one way to explain a hoodoo. Nobody carved that. It didn't. That's probably a cell of a titan. For all we know, it's a wart. There it is for your human scale. Mismanagement on purpose. These rocks didn't drill themselves. It's always going to be, and I need to make time. It's about the rocks. They are crying out in judgment. The Bible's not joking when it says you can build up treasure for heaven by doing good works for Christ after you're saved by grace. You'll build up gold, silver, and precious stones. Now, these rocks that I have and I love, it can be, typified by, I could reach down here. I hope this rock shows up, but it has these patterns on it that if you were going to sketch how to carve an analema, the Lord provided this rock so that you could see it's the outline of a heart. It is reserved in judgment. What's going to survive the incoming purifying fire? Things that can withstand fire. The rocks are the body parts. They've added 1,000 years. I wanted to, I looked it up. Organic rich, organic carbon. From that, I looks like I got this. This is flints and mortar, the whole depth of a wall. Flint was a body part. There's about a half pound of flint. There's a little close up of halite, beach full of it. What's with all that sparking action? What is in our body that needs to spark? Because everything in our body is in a rock. It's in the soil. So I looked up that town. What did I find? The ancient ruins of a Clunic. Oh, it interested me because it was the priory of Lady Theotard. I think that's how you'd pronounce it. I'm sure I wanted to look up that and find out what's going on in this town because I like to do shows. Huh? We've been hacked today? Yesterday? Douglas County? Well, that's Denver. That's not me, but still, what is this?
Property. Standoffs that bring fear into neighborhoods.
You want to know if something bad's going on in your neighborhood, right?
Oh, yeah,
course.
definitely.
Under the holiday lights in
Not in my backyard. That's the thing here. So we missed this story. I'm going to pick it up right here because it's in your state too, possibly. I do see a mud flood building sticking out on the left. Go, newsman.
Contact information that users gave to Code Red has been taken by hackers. That includes names, addresses, phone numbers,
Code Red.
and passwords. Your reporter Alan Janae joins us live from Castle Rock tonight. Now, and Douglas County is looking at ending its agreement with Code Red.
You better.
Yeah, they are ready to move on. Douglas County and the communities here that utilize its 911 systems, plus Weld County, Aurora, and other
You
counties.
gave their email address, their accounts, social security numbers. Code Red did that, the one that's supposed to keep them safe. Yeah, they're thinking about breaking ties with them. Hey, Sleepy, speak up.
Communities are trying to figure out how to deal with emergency notifications right now after what was called a targeted attack by an international cyber criminal group by the company that operates the system. Now, there are other systems that inform people on a wider basis and do things like Amber Alerts, but this is a more specific system that's more targeted.
It's targeted. It got targeted.
Fast-moving fires, tornadoes that threaten people and property, standoffs that bring fear into neighborhoods.
You want to know if something bad's going on in your neighborhood, right?
You need the red alert.
Under the holiday lights in Castle Rock, people talked about the alerts that help them learn of trouble.
These days,
Man, did I get into a jurisdiction dispute that lasted 6 years in Castle Rock. That district attorney, we kind of became friends, but he was so mad that I called him a son of a bitch. And I was sorry after I did it, but it was a jurisdiction dispute.
We're also trusting that. So that trust was definitely broken.
And you're not happy.
I'm not. No.
Yeah. You see a beautiful woman, go ask her, hey, do you like trust to be broken or not? What's your preference? Trust broken? Trust not broken?
Was an online attack by an organized cyber criminal group.
What we do know was compromised was username, passwords, names of individuals, addresses, phone numbers.
And still, a system that isn't working more.
There's a Castle Rock. There it was. Here, right there. I've been to this store. It's one of the best outlet stores going, man. And back in the corner, they got a real thrift store.
More than 2 weeks later.
This is a tool that we utilize.
You don't care about Colorado. You're not coming here. Anyway, this Code Red thing, that was real. So I wanted to, back to that. There was a woman, Claire Priory. I thought it was a woman because it said there was a woman. It was the first priory, suppressed in 1538. No, originally established in 248. Who did? They appreciate the Mary. That's what starting that first step down the bad road is like. I think I'll worship Mary, or even thinking like maybe I should call Mary the mother of good counsel or some other thing. Mother Concordia. Huh. Mother Concordia OSB. That's her name based on a fresco. So that piqued my interest. I was kind of looking for girls to So Concordia Scott is what came up. That was okay. She's a sister, Scottish sculptor. Here is that town, Kent, recalling the skill. I want to just established here. So it was a Augustinian friars, Roman Catholic, all big into that leading up to Galileo. Looked her up. I wonder what her pictures are. How to make plywood. There she is. That must be her. She must have done these things. There you go. She did at least this one. Nope, we don't get to see it. That's Saint Mildred. That is the one. So here she is, this Benedictine sculptor, Our Lady of Pew. So she's supposed to have done this. I wonder if that comes up. Nope. Original statue was disappeared centuries ago, but she remade it from a picture. She carved that. Okay. All right. Is that all I got on that? So what did this Concordia Scott do? Scottish sculptor, Benedictine nun. Her work can now be seen everywhere. Look at this is interesting. This is something that she sculpted. The bronze, 3 foot high. That's the alabaster. Bronze. This is the bronze statue of Mary and crowned on a throne, holding a figure of an infant Christ. I guess she also did the bronze casket for St. Mildred's. This was interesting. Look at the year on that. Why would she put the wrong year? Anybody? I think I had that saved. I might have downloaded some screenshots. We should look at them. Here's not your thumbnail, but it almost was. From 1888, some small town in Colorado saying we should celebrate Greek temples. I think it's from Colorado. Southern California, Santa Monica, if I remember correctly. No, it says Los Angeles. Way to go, Paco. You're not remembering correctly on that. I'm going to go this way. The Hotel Green. That's some pretty good embellishment. I guess I'm looking at Los Angeles today. But here's something, the St. Gabriel Mountains. Isn't that, how much power does it take to run one of these searchlights? That's what I was questioning. What was he standing by? Because that's what's reflecting in the lens here. So he's got at least one person watching. They may have uncovered a bronze casket for St. Mildred's relics, but that could be spur of the moment silliness by Prophet Paco. What is that? Just a smudge, I'm sure. Here's a one. Oh, I got a couple of them. The first use of searchlights using carbon arc sources occurred during the siege of Paris. It was hard to find out when they were first used. The Royal Navy was using searchlights in 1892 to dazzle the Egyptian forces. So if they had these on boats, they had to be using the steam power on their powerful look at me world. I wanted to make sure you saw this picture here. St. Mildred's relics go in here. They lost the key. Says 725. That's pretty clear to me. That is not a fossil. It's not a fossil. It's a body part. It's the way things fascinatingly grow together. This is something probably akin to pericardium skin or something that outlines and insulates. It's something in your body. This one intrigued me. You don't really see a lot of full fish fossils. And what do I say about them? It was probably in the stomach, because when you're hit with the glittering sword, whether it's Noah's flood or Armageddon or whatever, you're reserved in judgment. You get turned into a thing. And if you're a fish, if you are a real fish, not with these fake fish fossils, then you were inside the tummy of somebody that swallowed it, and they could swallow a fish whole. So here are the 5 books. They could swallow a fish whole, and here are the 5 books that a guy said, you better be careful if you study these topics. The book by Tim Tate from Great Britain is self-explanatory. They've had that problem rampant there for years. I think they like it more when it's not like in your face, where only a few people know that Jimmy Savile is doing what he's doing. Sir Jimmy Savile. The Call, Hand of Death. Secret military assassins. Dulce Base. They had this thing in the valley where I live where they had 1970s UFOs are taking cattle and mutilating them. It happened across the border in New Mexico. One of those 1 in a million good cops, Gabe Valdez's, the son of Greg Valdez, who wrote the book, the same thing happened, except Gabe tracked it to the military. They don't want that to know. Controlling the weather. Well, it's because it goes back to the 40s or something. Bill Hubbard, the substantial evidence. Now I'm drawing a blank on that one. Don't study it though. Bad. So I got that done. You got the St. Mildred thing. Searchlights, Russian troops, 1904. Just power it. Just throw down some wood. What has it got, a battery inside it or what? You should need monstrous cables leading to it. Is that a star? What is this? The wall I'm talking about back here. Maybe that's supplying the power. Searchlights. We're looking at searchlights today. Look what I found, a searchlight. No, we're setting it up. We're going to drag it out there with this modern, very efficient looking truck. And they needed a lot of them to pierce the night sky during practice at Gibraltar. Not a lot of real fighting took place there. There you go again. Searchlights. So you can see what's behind them, a couple of trucks and another platform for hauling searchlights. I know you've had enough searchlights. Me too. Is this what makes the searchlight so powerful? Yep. Know this? No powerful searchlight. Hey, it kind of looks kind of like a searchlight. This guy said, it'd be good for searchlights. No, Gustav, what? Terbium and erbium, yet to be named. But we should try it. Okay, here's some. 30 minutes later, we got a hot cathode going like, don't touch it. It's hot. Here's another one. This one too. So this is in your body. This is, you know the term. Oh, it's got that same spectrum. You could use it in a searchlight. All you need is ammonium nitrate, and it'll make it white. There's a dwarf planet that's about as realistic as this guy. Hey, Jacob, what up? You like it? You figured that out? You just knew it glue? Carl, you look like Sigmund Freud. Don't touch it, it's hot. So those are examples of rare earth metals. Phosphorus is one, but it glows. I've seen it glow. I just stared at it. It was just glow. It would not stop glowing. Huh. So where do they get their energy source? I put down energy source searchlight. Well, thanks for the sun as a primary source. Thanks for offering me a list of light. That's not what I wanted. Somehow I ended up on Facebook. American Saving and Loan had a takeover. I was interested in that, but you might as well look at some historic pictures of Los Angeles while we're at it. Hey, look, streetcars. One of those pointy buildings. One of those pointy buildings. I'm saying that again because I know the name of that one in New York that everybody's going like, hey, that's the original pointy building. It's not. But am I going to really go back, say, look at some of these are brick, some of them are not, until I see the searchlight? Something about this picture, it wouldn't get bigger. But this pass, it hasn't changed much. I believe we'll get another picture of it later because I think I searched it. They're like, that pass looks familiar. So this is early Los Angeles, 1900. Looks like a castle, no? Alex McLean lived there. Alhambra, 1919. I built that with 14 karate chops, trying to break the record of 12, but I couldn't. I made that up. Where is that searchlight? A couple more, and that's all I'm going to do. I think it's within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, party on the beach. Live and let live. Okay. Avoid accidents. Well, it doesn't look too hard back in the day, doesn't it? Or you could use these overhead wires for trains. Huh. In planes, airplanes were invented. Rock and roll was around the corner. But that American savings and loan, 30 billions in assets liquidated. No citation, but what was going on during that Reagan? So many things goes back to that time. And when Pope Joy took over as chairman, it was straight downhill. And that was one of those things in California. It caused a crash that has kept going. But enough of that. Let's study old roads. The El Camino Viejo, Los Angeles. This was not the El Camino Real trail used since the 1770s. Like, it's been used since the time of Christ. San Pedro Bay, 1820s. This was a spur as a more direct route than the El Camino. It was an ox cart. They're everywhere around the world after a reset. Not much of a story, but it goes through everywhere down south. We have trails here in San Luis Valley. I don't know what they're called though. So here's a bunch of them. There's this one, Mud Spring. I'm sure the ones in Colorado are much more interesting. Would this guy find a couple? He got a land grant from Spain. He probably still running. I know he has relatives in that area that still have land. I want to keep moving though. So here is the original road, 3 pueblos, 4 presidios, 600-mile road commemorating the 21 Spanish missions in California. Was it a Illuminati takeover? Are they telling us the truth about any era? They aren't. We're orphan brain trained, and we have to be born again, or we'll just remain in a state of permanent Hegelian dialectic disorder, mental disorder. They're going to say eventually you're going to need a lobotomy because you don't like the jab. Hey, there's the Colorado River. Hey, my parents were married here. I know. A lot of those people that did that were knocked up and had to rush over to Arizona to get married. That doesn't mean that my parents, well, they were not, that's why they went there too. But there was, and we went back years later, he was working on a great big copper mine. There's a town called Globe, Arizona. Supposedly they've had a nugget of copper big as a globe. Another way to rub that in your face. How do you spell Arizona? The next hotspot? Really? Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was going to be the next hotspot until it wasn't.
Flash flooding continues to be a problem. Our crews barely made it out of the floodwaters before roads shut down.
And this community, of course, it's been impacted hard over the past few weeks. They can't catch a break. Fox 10's Kizzy Beach has the story.
Week after week, powerful.
Wow, they must have found lithium there or something.
Into the river. It's an area that's flooded over the past couple of weeks.
This is the worst storm I've ever seen.
So, not really the hot spot. I was kind of looking for more of its history. I didn't know they had a recent end of their little false hope. Globe Cemetery. 12 nations, not 50 states. That sounds interesting. Historic mining town, old jail. Not much of a mountain. Anyway, there's that. Tribute in lights. Everybody uses these xenon arc lamps from the 30s, and they haven't, I guess, it took a while for LEDs before there were opportunities for more efficient. Now, World War II, this kind of looks like that practice scene from Gibraltar. A little bit of a rock and roll nod there. The largest, most powerful searchlight today is in Las Vegas. A Viva! That's a lot. 9 billion candle lights. Mercy Baku. So, rare earth metals. You need them. Where would we be without a spotlight taking us to the Elvis impersonators contest? There you go. You need these. Why is China in charge of them? We got them. So body parts, rocks are body parts, analema, Mobius strips, like you battery operated, flesh containing seed planted in soil, all for the spirit that has or has not been changed that's inside you. I looked up this weird book I heard about called Man the Puppet by Abram Limpsky, 25 edition. And this is one of those unapologetic, hey, we finally learned how to make people do what we wanted them to do. We can trick them. We can shape their mind and go, "Hey, I know it's a dark psychology blueprint, but they did it." I looked up the author anyway. Looks like that was his most popular book. That's what they said. Man the Puppet, The Art of Controlling Minds, delves into the art of mind control. He also, you can read Meditations Among the Tombs, Germany's Angry Man, a biography of Martin Luther, and Rhyme How to Write Prose. But his number one book was Man the Puppet. I found access to Popular Science magazine. So am I sharing? Good. Hi, Luther. My man, he remembers back when we were doing those rocks and finding all that stuff out. So look, Wikisource has Popular Science magazines. I think I looked at a few. The Future of the Negro. When was this? 1888, volume 33. That figures. Anyway, it's more or less not good news because the white people and everybody, it was illegal to be black back then. But some of the more nice people had an absence of vindictiveness toward their former slave owners, and if they obeyed the ordinary laws, well, the best of those black people, moreover, rise far beyond this point. The South, containing both doctors and lawyers, who, by the admission of the whites, are thoroughly competent men. And it may be said of the whole body that, though not equal to any European community of the same extent, they are far superior to any 4 million pagan Negroes who could be selected in Africa, because there must have been some whiteness rub off on them. The change must be owing to Christianity, plus the operation of laws based on that faith. It follows that the largest group of black people under civilized observation, the descendants, as believed, of four widely distinguished tribes, by embracing a root, it justified that they're better now, but the conclusion not very satisfactory. That races of imperfect powers exist. They consider the Australian Aborigines, and that Providence does, for unknown purposes, occasionally waste even fine races, like the Moors, who will, to all appearance, die out having fulfilled no function at all. Well, hey, Science Monthly, Popular Science Monthly, a lot of people would turn to disagree. Eurasian waterways. I didn't get a chance to pre-read this one. I just thought, I'll just say there's evidence at the shores of the Dardanelles and the Bosporus reveal the probable continuity of land at both points in a time not far remote. These all go back. Narrowness of the Eurasian waterways permitted continuity of travel over the intercourse route, while the very existence of the straits allowed their army to travel the Black Seas fearlessly. They discovered the Erie Canal. They discovered this biological effects of race movements, immigration, transfer of stronger elements to other regions, immigration, filling up the gaps with people of lower native ability, war, the destruction of the strong and the soldiery. The soldierly. Intermarriage of European races can hardly be called crossing at all, as the racial difference concerned are of slight order. Okay, white people, you guys just they can breed. It's what our world was and what we're being judged for. Now, the ancient portals of the earth, I thought that would be interesting. Study of the distribution and relationship of ancient maritime flowers and fauna show there have been certain critical areas through which these faunas were connected from time to time. Okay, that's their ancient portals. I guess I was expecting something about what are those things called? The Atlantis Stargate. Something about smoking and football, man. They're kind of against the smoking in 1912. And even back then, not a lot of athletes smoked. Here's that Man the Puppet. Man the Puppet. You know, it talks about how to do it. Let's just see if it tells you anything about how to. Oh, it just goes right into here. I didn't even know. You know, you saw me pop on this. There's no way I could have picked this page, but it's for you to know the perfection of the German propaganda outfit at the beginning of the war. That would be World War One. Developed an anti-toxic, which later became an immunizing suspicion against their good and bad intentions alike. When they begged for peace, they were charged with propaganda. Their revolution was propaganda. And even though they killed one another in civil strife, we were warned, especially from Paris, against uh, they act like propaganda was new and nobody ever heard of. You know, we know they were duplicit. That children like to study if they like the teacher and make no headway if the teacher repels them. Well, they've certainly trained a lot of bad teachers to ensure that. Assyrians had elaborate religious rites for healing the sick. I wonder if it involved medicine. This guy, John Todd, he was one of those guys that wrote one of the books you're not supposed to study. It turns out he was one of these guys that got arrested, went to prison for the child abuse. The but always a scoundrel. But at one time he was hooked up and hanging out with, and they fed him all the information of how the Christianity was going to be in on it, and the big names of that day are going to be against it, and they were using chick publications. He was writing books for them about how music was bad, and he was bad all along. But the topic was real, and they want you to stay away from it because his book, which was fed him, told the truth. Back to the matriarchy, we studied that last night. The Canterbury gynecology. The whole thing is, I'm hung up on this whole situation of how did the family become the bad guy? If you see last night's show talking about where my history teacher, not even in a woman's studies of history of Mexico, just the study, he brought up a girl that from the 80s was like the first one. I was raped from I'm a child, but I'm really a man trapped in a woman's body who she in her books talks about how she fantasizes about sex with her dad, trees, dogs, zombies, werewolves, things like that. And he's propping that up as like, and she said the reason Mexico kind of failed was because it should go back to having women rule it. It's men in charge. No. I know a lot of people don't want what I want for women, to dress modestly, hair bonnets, uh, not getting the sexually transmitted diseases, there's going to be a narrow road, and they're not going to be the sexually active ones that are still going like, oh, well, at least I can run back to Jesus and say, please forgive me 490 times today. Tomorrow's your Thanksgiving. Who really believes that story? I know what I believe. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. They added 1,000 years, not like Noah's flood, not like Armageddon. After this recent catastrophe, the end of the 1,000 years, it was put in your sickles and reap. And now there's only, from that time period, the 335 years, there's 20 years left. We're going like, wow, we know about the lobotomies and the orphan trains, but our parents had children. Here we are. So they didn't get eliminated. Were they complicit or were they tricked into being one of their slaves? You know your parents better than me. But something's up and you know it. And they know that we know, but they don't care. They don't care if a narrow road makes it. It's the wide world of destruction that there is no stopping. There is only run away and hide and wait for the fire to save us when Satan is encompassing the last of those people who are the camp of the saints, the 2 or 3 that are gathered in his name. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. I'm trying to kind of sound like their accent. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakamed. Adios, amigos. That's how we say it on the border in New Mexico, Colorado, where I live. They go like, adios, amigo.